too far left for me often, but it is encouraging to see that in at least 3 places I can think of, he has moved it back to the center, but he's got a long way to go if he wants to do that. Relaunch it, rebrand it, but it would have to be somebody who is unapologetic about calling them out. People have lost faith in the Democratic Party for very good reasons. You're the only one I hear who doesn't look like he cares what the other Democrats will say.
Bill Maher recently sat down with Stephen A. Smith and revealed a major reason why Democrats' comeback efforts keep failing. His insight aligns with long-standing warnings from political analysts and challenges common assumptions. It's unexpected, thought-provoking, and important to understand. So if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, and let's dive in.
And a producer, a writer, and host of the hit HBO political talk show, Real Time, with Bill Maher. The one and only Bill Maher is with me right now. What's going on, Big Time? How are you, sir? How's everything?
I'm not an actor.
Well,
Don't ever call me an actor.
I apologize.
I'm the opposite of an actor, like you. Actors are avoiding the truth and playing parts. We're real and telling what's real.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate I correct myself. Thank you for the reminder. First of all,
I'm just messing with you.
I know.
At first glance, the Mars joke sounds like a routine jab at Hollywood actors and their predictable moral grandstanding. But listen closely, and the real target becomes obvious: Maher's own party. He isn't chasing cheap laughs by mocking celebrities. He's firing a warning shot at Democrats he believes have drifted far from everyday reality. For years, Maher has argued that the party prioritizes theatrics, symbolism, and virtue signaling instead of practical policies that materially improve people's lives. He says leaders obsess over performative moments meant to impress social media and elite audiences, while ignoring rising living costs, public safety concerns, and deep economic anxiety. Wrapped in humor, the joke exposes a deeper frustration. Maher sees a party addicted to applause lines, cultural posturing, and ideological signaling, yet increasingly disconnected from governing. In his view, this misplaced focus explains why voters feel unheard, lose trust, and tune out at the ballot box.
The best political show on television. I don't care what anybody says. But I will ask you this. When you look at Trump and some of the things that he says, what are you more concerned about in this day and age, Bill? Is it how the right feeds off of what he says, or is it how the left reacts to what he says? What has you more concerned at this particular moment in time as we just purview the landscape, look at our country and the state of affairs that's going on around here?
Well, I love it that you always, like what you were just saying before I came on about free speech, and you said, well, let's be honest, the left sort of courted this a little bit because they weren't exactly champions of free speech. So you always have to look at that. I mean, I know that the woke people don't like it that I do that, and maybe they don't like it that you do it either, but that is the reality. And I think we should all do it a lot more, is just be honest about both sides.
Maher has long cast himself as a frustrated insider, still identifying as a Democrat yet increasingly alienated by what the party has become. Repeatedly, he accuses Democrats of mistaking performance for progress, favoring dramatic gestures and symbolic wins over policies that solve real-world problems. In Maher's view, the party is hooked on theatrics, staged outrage, virtue signaling, and applause-ready moments, while everyday voters worry about crime, inflation, housing, and jobs. The joke, wrapped in humor, is a critique disguised as entertainment, a warning that style has replaced substance, credibility is eroding, and voters are noticing. The consequences are impossible to ignore.
Taking you a little more seriously for this is because the Democrats definitely need an outsider. I mean, I'm going to give you a little preview of something I'm working on that'll be on our show one of these weeks at the end as an editorial. To me, the Democratic Party is a ghost brand. You know what a ghost brand is? It's like Sears or...
Maher argues that there is currently no one within the Democratic National Committee capable of seriously challenging Donald Trump. In his view, the party's leading figures are so absorbed in woke ideology that they struggle to connect with everyday voters or present a credible national alternative. Instead of projecting strength, clarity, and leadership, Ma believes they appear performative, insulated, and disconnected from real-world concerns. This disconnect, he says, is a central reason Democrats continue to falter at the ballot box. Ma contends that ideological purity tests and activist-driven narratives have crowded out common sense, pragmatism, and broad voter appeal. As a result, the party has narrowed its message and weakened its competitiveness. He suggests Democrats would be far better served by embracing an outsider, someone not molded or restricted by current DNC culture. According to Maher, only fresh leadership free from internal dogma and elite echo chambers can restore relevance and make the party competitive again.
They've really fallen on hard times.
Yeah.
But they've been around for a long time. So there is value in, it's an asset, right? Because there are still people who know of the company, and if you could have somebody take it over, who's not sentimental about that company and, relaunch it, rebrand it. But it would have to be somebody who is unapologetic about calling them out. People have lost faith in the Democratic Party for very good reasons.
According to Maher, the Democratic Party has become a faint shadow of its former self. He argues that today's party feels hollow, noisy, and overly performative, rich in rhetoric but painfully thin on substance. In Maher's view, the DNC spends too much time recycling slogans, blowing hot air, and applauding itself instead of presenting clear, workable solutions to real-world problems. As a consequence, he says, public faith has steadily eroded. Voters who once viewed Democrats as champions of the working class and common-sense governance now see a party more focused on ideological posturing than effective leadership. Maher believes this loss of trust represents the party's deepest crisis. It's not only about losing elections, it's about losing relevance altogether. When people feel ignored, talked down to, or taken for granted, they disengage. And Maher argues that this growing disconnect explains why so many Americans no longer feel any loyalty to or interest in the DNC.
Right,
I don't give a damn what they say. I really don't.
I know. And it's somebody, I don't either. I'm right where you are. We're very close on all these things. And I think somebody with that kind of abandon is the only person who is going to win back former Democratic voters who have switched over.
But you also have faith in California Governor Gavin Newsom, did you not?
Maher describes the type of leader he believes could reconnect with disengaged Democratic voters, and it's not someone shaped by the party's usual playbook. In his view, the ideal candidate would be an outsider, unafraid to challenge party orthodoxy and unwilling to cater to the fringe left. Maher argues this person would stand out precisely because they reject ideological theatrics and activist-driven pressure campaigns. Instead, such a leader would anchor their message in observable facts, lived experience, and plain common sense. Rather than drifting into abstract theories or academic language that fails to resonate, they would speak directly about the issues people face in everyday life. Maher believes this kind of honesty, clarity, and willingness to confront internal excesses could re-energize apathetic Democrats. For him, authenticity matters more than ideological purity, and only a reality-focused outsider, free from party dogma, can restore credibility, trust, and momentum to the Democratic Party.
He's not exactly what I'm describing now.
Right.
I think he'd be a great candidate. He has shown in recent months the ability also to move to the center. He would have to do it a lot more. But as a candidate, he looks great. Great speaker, very forceful, can be mean, which is really important, and he can do it. He also has the backing, or certainly should, of where the energy is in the Democratic Party, the far left, because, he's been out front on a lot of very liberal issues, which I think is great. Gay marriage here in California and stuff like that, pollution, all sorts of stuff that we believe in. But, he does have a long trail to.
Maher has long been an outspoken admirer of Gavin Newsom. Viewers have seen him sit across from Newsom in interviews and openly tell him he believes he has presidential potential. That history is exactly what makes Stephen A. Smith's question so challenging. Newsom doesn't neatly fit the outsider profile Maher has just described, someone detached from party culture and unconcerned with progressive pressure. Instead, Newsom is very much a product of the Democratic establishment, closely tied to its leadership class and carefully crafted ideological branding. This puts Maher in an uncomfortable position. Does he stand by his years of praise, or does he apply the same critical standards to Newsom that he demands of others? That tension is what makes the moment so compelling. It forces Maher to confront the gap between his admiration and his broader critique, setting the stage for a revealing and potentially uncomfortable response.
I tell him face to face, I've said it on the show, he went too far left for me often, but it is encouraging to see that in at least 3 places I can think of, he has moved it back to the center, but he's got a long way to go if he wants to do that.
Do you think a far lefty can win a national election in this day and age?
Maher believes that while Gavin Newsom may have the potential to be a strong president one day, his biggest obstacle right now is that he comes across as too woke. According to Maher, Newsom carries significant ideological baggage, and if he truly wants to be taken seriously as a national contender, he needs to let go of it. Maher argues that voters are worn out by performative politics and culture war signaling, and that Newsom must shift toward practicality, restraint, and results. Beyond image, however, deeper issues remain. Newsom is also weighed down by the structural problems tied to his record in California. Expanding bureaucracy, high taxes, and a worsening homelessness crisis are not abstract criticisms, but daily realities for millions of residents. Until Newsom demonstrates meaningful progress on these issues, Maher suggests his presidential ambitions may remain more aspirational than realistic.
Do you mean like AOC?
Yes. I'm just whether it's what you said about Newsom, whether it's an AOC. I mean, do you think somebody like that can win a general election for the presidency of the United States in this day and age? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I mean, that's, anything is possible, and possibly it would excite a certain group of people who have not voted. What if 80% of Gen Z voted? Could then a Mondami-like candidate win? I guess so, but I'm not expecting that to happen, and I don't think it's the smart bet for the Democrats. There was an article in The Atlantic this week about, the Democratic leadership keeps saying the Democrats should change course.
It's far from certain that if 80% of Gen Z showed up to vote, they would automatically rally behind the far left. That assumption is repeated often, but it overlooks how politically flexible and unpredictable younger voters actually are. Gen Z's support could shift in either direction, especially after years of cultural backlash and growing exhaustion with woke ideology. The ongoing pushback against wokeness has reshaped the political landscape, prompting many young people to question narratives they once accepted without hesitation. Increasingly, practical concerns like affordability, jobs, free speech, and long-term opportunity are outweighing symbolic politics and identity-driven messaging. It also feels as though the cultural dominance of wokeness may have already peaked, if not outright collapsed. If that's the case, Gen Z may defy expectations. Rather than defaulting to progressive politics, many young voters could gravitate toward Republicans who communicate plainly, reject cultural excesses, and focus on tangible issues that directly shape their future.
Keep saying the Democrats should change course, away from the far left, but they're not doing it.
Right.
They should all read that article.
And to me, if they're not doing it, they're not paying attention to what's going to win. They just want to vent. I'm listening to Jasmine Crockett. I'm like, that verbiage ain't going to work. AOC could win the Senate seat and take it from Chuck Schumer in New York City, but that's not going to win a general election. Zohran Mamdani might win the mayor's seat in New York City, and Trump and his acolytes may be scared to death that it's going to permeate throughout the country because of what happened in Minnesota, what's happening in New York City, what potentially could happen in California. But that's not the entire country. So for me, I'm very, very worried about the left.
Unless Democrats stop catering to the far left and begin moving back toward the political center, winning national elections will remain an uphill battle. Maher's broader argument is that elections are decided by moderates, independents, and swing voters, not by the loudest voices on social media. When party leaders allow fringe ideology to dominate the conversation, They risk alienating the very voters needed to build a durable governing majority. Figures like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Jasmine Crockett may continue to gain influence within activist circles and shape internal party debates, but that influence has clear limits. Their style and messaging rarely translate into broad national appeal or consistent electoral success outside deep blue districts. While they energize a passionate base, they also reinforce the perception that the party is disconnected from everyday concerns facing average Americans. Maher argues that symbolic wins within the party mean little if they don't resonate beyond the base. Until Democrats recalibrate their strategy, prioritize pragmatism over ideology, and speak to the political center of the country, electoral victories will remain elusive. Internal applause won't turn into national momentum. And with that, we've reached the end of today's video. If you found it insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content like this. Thanks for watching.